Hi, everyone. I'm Sarika Jain, love and relationship coach for successful women with sensitive souls, growth oriented women, women who are highly motivated to find the love that you deserve, the healthy love that you deserve. So I've been on sabbatical for about a year, and, I have three young kids at home, 1, 4, and 7. And I've been doing the stay-at-home mom thing, because that's what I've always really wanted deep inside, even though I have an MBA from Wharton and, all of those things. A part of me just wanted the flexibility to do what I want, and part of doing what I want is to be there for my children in their formative years, between the ages of 0 to 7, and also cultivating a happy, healthy marriage. And so, anyways, lately I've been thinking about what really matters, and what it always comes back to is love. I spent a year, studying religion, trying to see if there was some other greater truth out there. Like, is there God? Is there something I'm missing here? And the truth that I kept coming back to is that love is all there is. And showing up for ourselves and for others, loving oneself, loving others, and that's, in the Bible, Jesus talks about that. Buddha talks about it, every tradition, right, talks about how love, it really is all there is, and so, just knowing that, it brought me back to, wow, how do I show up better for myself, for my husband, for my kids, And so, yesterday I decided to hire a relationship coach, and I hadn't, luckily Christian and I have been doing imago therapy, which has been amazing. And I want to talk more about that. There's so much to learn about relationship. It's not static. There's a lot of skills. There's communication skills. There's relationship habits. There's navigating conflict. There's, finding peace and happiness within while supporting your partner through their difficult times. There's co-creation. There's co-parenting. There's so much that goes into building a healthy relationship. And I am so freaking committed to cracking this nut, and I've always been committed to this. I've always, even as a kid, I would go into magazines, like I would read women's magazines and go to the Q&A section around like women talking about their relationships. And, relationships have always fascinated me. And, just taking this year sabbatical and trying to study other things, and then coming back to, well, actually my greatest teacher has been my relationships, specifically the one with my husband, Christian. That's been very, like, one of the most powerful triggers and instigators for my growth in these past 10 years, and now my children. So, I just really want to come back to what's really important. It's love, it's relationships. And if you're single, then it's that relationship with yourself and finding that partner, which, if that's in your heart, if that's your deepest desire, yes, keep working on that, right? Your careers come and go, money comes and goes, status comes and goes. Sadly, our parents leave at some point, our siblings move on, our friends move on. Life is transient, but what really matters is love and how we're relating to one another. There's really no greater teacher about love than being in an intimate relationship with someone who triggers you, someone who forces you to look at your shadows, your triggers, your unhealed parts, your lost parts, as they call it in Imago, someone who forces you to become a better person. And hopefully both of you are growth minded, right? That's another thing that I really coach women in is, self-awareness and growth, which leads to attracting a partner who's also into self-awareness and growth. And even if you're in a relationship right now and you feel unloved, unsupported, et cetera, which is common. I mean, I talk to women across the board in their 40s, all my friends, and a lot of them are moms, and they don't feel supported by their husbands or whatever. You have an opportunity to turn it around. As long as your partner is not a narcissist, doesn't have a major personality disorder, you can turn it around, by who you're being. So I really just believe that healthy love is possible for all of us. And it's something to strive for. It's what I stand for. And so with that in mind, I aim and hope to share a video every day on this topic. I don't know if it's going to be every day, but I want to show up more for what I really value, which is love and helping you find the loving relationship you deserve. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can speak for myself. I mean, these past few months, I felt like, I was going into people pleasing. I was losing myself in my marriage, in my care for in-laws, motherhood, and, I used to lose myself in my work, which is why I took the sabbatical, just to kind of come back to self. And coming back to self isn't easy, especially if you're an empathic person like myself. An empath, I just started reading Anita Moorjani's book on being an empath, and I found it really, really awakening, really like, wow, yes, that's how I am. I'm an empath. I pick up others' energies. I'm very intuitive. I'm very sensitive. I'm very emotional, And so, seeing the dynamics play out in my marriage, in my family, and feeling like going between being a doormat to a bitch. And even though I have all these relationship principles, self-love, self-awareness, boundary setting, communication, all of those tools are there, thankfully. And again, this is what I equip, my clients with, or if you read my book, The 90-Day Soulmate Plan, I give you a step-by-step process on how to become relationship ready with all of these tools and skills. But even though I had these skills under me, I still felt like I was, losing myself, right? And I needed to lift myself up. And losing myself made me feel resentful and triggered and angry. And I said some mean and horrible things, it just turned me into that raging bitch that, I don't want to be, but sometimes you're pushed into being, and so I could really see the power of sacred rage, that the power of anger. It is about discovering and claiming what you really value. We get angry when something we value is not being valued by another, or we're feeling oppressed, or something like that. And so I had to take a step back and pull myself out of the situations, create boundaries, and so I'm kind of back into this place of seeking that relationship with myself, that healthy relationship with myself, of loving myself, nurturing myself, practicing the 5 A's of love with myself. And I talk about that in my book again. And going back to my own foundation of self-love. And in that place of self-love, self-awareness, claiming what I want in my marriage, in my personal life, because if you don't have that truth within you that's radiant, then you're just going to attract whatever. You're going to attract whatever relationships. You're just going to fall into unconscious patterns, and ultimately you're going to get hurt, And I found myself doing that. I found myself falling into an unconscious trauma pattern one that I'd seen growing up, and one potentially that my husband saw. And so, you don't realize these things because, for instance, I'm busy. I have 3 little ones. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm, managing a garden, I'm managing a house, and just doing all of that, taking care of an in-law, just doing all of that, just losing myself in all of that. And, not really digging into like, well, what do I need? What nourishes my soul? And what am I looking to create here with my marriage and in our home as a mom? Even, how do I want to equip my kids to navigate conflict or be in healthy relationships? And also, like, what kind of role model do I want to be for them as a woman? These are all the questions that I have. The other thing that's coming up for me is I'm in my 40s, and I'm like concerned that I'm not prepared for menopause. It's freaking me out, actually, and I've got to prepare for that. I've got to prepare for taking care of my elderly parents when it's needed, supporting my husband in that. And so it's a concept called the sandwich years, where you're sandwiched between 2 generations. And, and it's easy again to lose yourself in this. That's, again, what I found as a mom with 3 little ones. And so, I felt like, oh, my husband doesn't support me, but there's a part of me that's like, well, how am I supporting myself? How am I cherishing myself, nourishing myself, championing myself, and part of that is why I'm here today on a video, just to champion myself, because I need to pull myself out of the weeds that I got stuck in, and that made me angry and resentful. And, I could see the value in it. I could see that I'm healing a trauma, a generational trauma potentially, or a mother wound trauma. And that this pattern has given me that opportunity to see that shadow, love it, breathe through it, feel the emotions, and, appreciate it and release it, and not attach to what isn't mine, and so I appreciated this opportunity to have this trigger happen for me, the situation, and it could really help me see that we create our reality. I mean, again, that, for a year I was like, God creates our reality. That's the mindset I was in, because I was studying religion. I was studying, creating a relationship with God. And, I just couldn't see the evidence for that. What I can see the evidence for is that we do create our reality. We co-create our reality. We're in co-creation with people around us, with divine forces, with world forces, whatever it is. But our intentions do create our reality. I don't know if I wish that there was another way. And so having really strong intention around love, around healthy love, is really important, And so, I just want to share what are three pillars for becoming focused on love. The first one I talked about is self-love. Okay. Self-love doesn't just mean getting your nails done and your hair did, although I just did get my hair done, which I feel really great about. It's about building your foundation. It's about building your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual foundation. It's about nourishing all parts of your foundation. And I talk about that in my book, The 90-Day Soulmate Plan. And when you really nourish this love garden, I call it, your foundation, then you start to become magnetic. Your reality begins to reflect back to you that love that you're giving yourself. I've seen it so many times, so that's one key pillar. Okay. The second one is self-awareness. So doing the psychological work of seeing where your patterns come from, understanding your personality, understanding your coping mechanisms. How do you react to fear, to anger, to sadness, to grief? Where do you feel comfortable? Last night I noticed that I felt comfort in feeling kind of sorry for myself. Like I was like, I just kind of want to be in this place, because it felt familiar. There was potentially a childhood trauma related to it. And I almost wanted to approach my marriage or my relationships from that perspective of like, I'm the victim. I'm the stay-at-home mom. I have no power. Everyone takes advantage of me. No one sees me. No one sees my gifts, whatever. And I didn't want to get out of it, But then a part of me was like, let me just call my friend who's the relationship coach and see what he has to say. And he said a couple of things that were like, yes, I want more. And I need to show up the way I want to be treated. And it comes from self-awareness. No one can fulfill your needs for you. We come alone, we leave alone. But we can, have our reality reflect to us what we're thinking, what we're feeling, how we're acting. So that comes with self-awareness. Okay. And again, I share self-awareness tools, healing tools in my book, The 90-Day Soulmate Plan. And when you become aware, when you bring the subconscious up to be healed, then you become a magnet for healthy love. And that's what I've seen. I used to be a magnet for heartbreak. I used to always get dumped, and it was because of patterns that I was stuck in a pattern. And then when I really started focusing on self-love and self-awareness and releasing blocks, I suddenly became a magnet for community, for healthy love, for friendship, for gifts, for abundance. Okay. And the third one is intention. I know people want to meet their partners at like an airport. I met my husband in a meditation group. Okay. And I know if you're in a relationship, you just want your relationship to work. Like, why doesn't he just get you? Why can't you just figure things out? But given that we've never had a healthy relationship dynamic paradigm before, it's new. No generation until now has really been able to reflect healthy relationships. Like, I've coached hundreds of women. I've talked to thousands of people. No one can claim that their parents reflected a healthy relationship model. Barely. Like, I think maybe I can list 5 on my hand who were like, oh man, my parents were perfect and I wish I could just have a relationship like them. Like, rarely. Okay. Because we didn't have the cutting edge tools and resources that we have today. And we also didn't have the consciousness that we have today. Every generation, there's like an increase in consciousness and awareness, right? And I hope my kids are more conscious than me. Like, I'm already seeing it. They're way more conscious than I am. They're way more empathetic than I was, and intuitive and all those things, and their love is so pure. My middle daughter, who's 4, she tells me she loves me all the time, every day, like 10 times a day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. Right. And so, going back to that intention of, I'm here to create healthy love in my life, and I'm going to show up for it. I'm going to do the inner work needed. I'm going to get on the dating apps. I'm going to work with a coach if needed, or a therapist, couples therapists, workshops, seminars, books. Yes, I do go back to self-development, self-growth. Prayer works too, of course. Prayer, intention setting, all of these things are important to actually attract that loving relationship you want, and to keep it thriving, and the relationship being nurtured in a garden. I call it the garden of love, right? The love garden. And so, take advantage of the amazing teachers and tools and resources out there. on love and show up every day. Don't give up. Like if you're in an argument with your partner, don't give up. Don't resign. That's your old pattern that's telling you that it's better to be alone, right? That's your ego. That's your inner child. It's like, leave me alone. But no, keep showing up. Keep having an open heart. Do the work around releasing the blocks in your heart, releasing the wall around your heart, right? And of course, you're going to get hurt along the way. That's, love, unfortunately, we live in a world where sad things happen all the time, even to good people. So you have to keep your heart open, though. Everything is a moment to help your heart stay tender and open. So don't give up on dating. Don't give up on your love life. Don't give up on your marriage if you have a potentially good one, right? Do the inner work to become the partner that you want to be, right? And share your intention with your partner. If you are going on date, make sure your dating profile reflects your intention. Okay, it doesn't have to be out and direct, but work with a coach to help your dating profile reflect who you are inside and what you're looking for. Be your most radiant self, and then let go of expectations, right? Of course. So, these are the 3 keys to creating the love that you want. I talked about self-love, self-awareness, and being intentional. Being intentional is fucking sexy, okay? There's like an aura, there's an energy, there's a hunger around intention. It's different from goal setting. Goal setting is like, I want to get married by next year, or I want to build a house, I want to buy that house by next year. That's goal setting. But intention is like, it's eternal, it's everlasting, it comes from the soul, and it comes with that hunger, that passion of like, I can't settle for less. Like even if I haven't achieved it till now, I'm going to look for the evidence and I'm going to keep watering the garden until it occurs. Okay. I've coached so many women who've met amazing men. In fact, the person that I'm going to be coaching with, he's one of the partners of one of my former clients. And he loved that she was doing this love coaching work on herself. And this is when they were just dating. And so many of my clients, they meet their men and then they tell their men, I'm working with a love coach. And the men are like, oh my gosh, tell me more. They love it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Men actually really value women who value themselves, who value love, women who invest in themselves in growth areas, right? We've invested so much in our careers. I've seen it across the board. We'll invest millions if we have to grow in our careers. But what about your personal life? What about your love life? The part of you that is going to matter to you the most in the end, In 2017, I did a 10-day silent meditation at the Vipassana Center in in Massachusetts. And, by the 4th or 5th day, without connection to the outside world, I felt like, oh my gosh, like I'm on my deathbed. Like my mind started playing games with me. And I felt like this is it. These are like my last few days on this planet. I really felt that way because I was so disconnected from the outside world. No news, no internet, no phone, no journaling, no nothing. Just meditating and eating and listening to dharmic talks. And the only relationships I could remember were with my husband and my parents and my sisters. That's all. Like those were the only key. And that time I was pregnant with my daughter, so I didn't, I hadn't had any kids by then. But those were the only relationships I even thought of. That was so eye-opening to me that I didn't think about anyone else. Like nothing else existed except these core relationships, And so, doing the healing work to heal your mother wound, your father wound, your sister wounds, your wounds with lovers, just so that you can get to a place of loving all of these people is probably the greatest contribution you can make to this world and to your soul. You know, I, I, I just stand for that. I stand for breaking generational wounds and doing our part in creating a peaceful world through healing these core relationships. These core relationships with yourself, with your parents, with your siblings, even if you grew up in a traumatic house with a narcissistic parent. Like, there's tools to help you heal these relationships, right? I share about it in my book, The 90-Day Soulmate Plan. Okay, and then using these tools, you can start to attract better partners, that reflect that healed part of you. And so then when your partner comes along, and that was what was revealed to me in my 10-day silent meditation, that my husband is like the icing on the cake. He's here to share this soulmate intention with me. He is here to lift me up when I am down, to shine the light when it's dark. I mean, it was incredible that all I could see with him was just this unconditional love, which I'd never experienced in my life. Even though we have our day-to-day triggers, I know he loves me unconditionally, which is amazing. Like, I never thought unconditional love was possible. But I do now. I do believe that we can learn to love as much as we can as human beings. And that's the greatest work. So if you enjoyed this, please like, please subscribe, please share. And I hope to be sharing more along my thoughts around love and relationships and attracting healthy love and becoming radiant and awakening your feminine and dating skills, relationship skills, how-tos, etc. So take care. Thanks.